So, Mr. High School Grad and Mr. Harvard Grad, if you can solve this problem, I'll give you $1 million.
At the mention of $1 million, cheers erupted from the employees. The party was at its peak when our CO, Michael, made this announcement. The high school grad referred to me, and the Harvard grad was Adam, the star of the sales department and my colleague.
There's no way a high school grad can do this.
Michael is being so tough.
I could hear some employees mocking me.
There's no way a high school grad like you can solve this problem.
Facing my overconfident colleague, I kept moving my pen. To prove these elitists wrong. To respond to the cheers of the woman I liked. When I finally put my pen down, a hush fell over the room.
No way. How did you?
Then Michael reached out to shake my hand, and a wave of applause erupted from everyone. My name is David, and I'm 28 years old. I work at a company in Chicago. Our headquarters is in New York City, and I'm part of the product planning department of a food manufacturer expanding its market share with frozen foods. But honestly, I'm just an ordinary employee handling more supportive administrative tasks than new planning. My daily life is pretty monotonous. I wake up at the same time every day, leave my house, and take the same train. The commuting rush in Chicago may not be as intense as in New York, but it's still pretty hectic. For lunch at noon, I buy a packed lunch from a nearby deli and eat it alone on a bench in a nearby park.
Here's your change, $10,000.
Yeah, thanks. Having lived abroad until a few years ago, I find the cashier's vibe feels refreshing. I don't yet have the courage to respond with a witty remark, but I secretly hope to someday say something like, "Why the heck?" At work, I try to stay as inconspicuous as possible, avoiding any conflicts with other employees. I don't have any ambition to climb the corporate ladder. I just want to keep working as an ordinary employee without getting fired. That's my wish. However, I haven't always lived this way. When I was younger, I was as interested in career advancement as anyone else, and I had a desire to be recognized by others. But now, I deliberately choose this way of life. I believed it was the only way for me to live. My colleague, Adam, who joined the company at the same time as me, is the complete opposite. As a star in the sales department, he is highly regarded by our boss and is always at the center of conversations, leading the discussions. People quickly gather around him, and lively conversations ensue. Watching Adam, I am acutely aware that those with strong communication skills have a completely different standing than those without. On the other hand, it's clear that Adam is very selective about whom he associates with. His criterion for choosing people is their educational background. It's blatant.
Where did you graduate from? Oh, that school with the low ranking. You probably got in through recommendations without doing much studying or taking exams. That's why you're sloppy.
Whenever a subordinate makes a mistake or does something he doesn't like, Adam always judges them based on their educational background, thoroughly putting down those with lesser credentials. This sort of thing happens all the time. Moreover, Adam's boss just turns a blind eye, saying, "I trust you," and does nothing. Eventually,
You're just a high school graduate. Man, what a worthless guy we've got here. You should just quit already.
even a new graduate, expected to be excellent, was thoroughly looked down upon and driven to resignation by Adam as soon as he found out they were a high school graduate. That's why, over the past couple of years, most of the employees I could casually talk to have left. I think Adam's influence is significant in this. Of course, educational background is a convenient metric to categorize people, and it can demonstrate someone's perseverance and continuous effort by passing tough entrance exams. So, Adam's perspective was that there's nothing wrong with judging people by their education and wanting to associate with those who have the drive and perseverance to succeed in competitive exams. Initially, Adam treated me like everyone else, but once he found out I was a high school graduate who had worked part-time jobs before joining the company, his attitude changed drastically. Moreover, there was a time when I couldn't keep up with Adam's humor and responded blandly, which might have also been held against me.
Watching him just irritates me. Someone with just a high school diploma wouldn't understand.
Since then, Adam has mocked and belittled me at every opportunity. As a result, I have become someone who is also avoided by the employees around Adam. One day, a few employees from a partner company came to our Chicago office for training. Since I wasn't handling any significant tasks, I was assigned to train a young woman named Emily. Emily was lively, full of enthusiasm, and seemed to be highly regarded in her work. Moreover, when Emily entered the training room on her first day, she was so stunningly beautiful that people secretly talked about the pretty model-like girl who had joined us. Adam, noticing her, began to take an interest and frequently inserted himself between Emily and me, trying to assist her.
Emily, I see you graduated from a decent private college.
Well, the ranking might be high, but I'm still just a rookie here.
No, I have high hopes for you. By the way, are you okay with him being your trainer? What's he teaching you? Should I take over?
With such interactions, Adam began to neglect his own work and hang around the training room. Emily couldn't afford to brush off Adam, who was her superior at the partner company. One day, while I was feeling troubled by the situation, Adam stepped out of the room for a moment, and Emily quietly said to me,
To be honest, David, your way of teaching is much easier to understand.
Really? Are you serious?
Adam tends to muddle things up just when I feel I've got them organized. Oh, I'm sorry for saying that.
Hearing this, I became frustrated with Adam's behavior. He was interfering with her training. On the other hand, I was happy that she shared her true feelings with me, and when our chairs were close together, our knees touched, which made my heart skip a beat. As the end of the year approached, the date for our company's annual party was set. Being the organizer not only left a good impression on the higher-ups, but also came with perks like free attendance and electronic money points for paying for everyone. So many people actually wanted the job. Of course, I had no intention of volunteering, but Adam eagerly volunteered and was chosen.
As always, there's one guy with no motivation. He could at least pretend to care and raise his hand. Seriously, he can't read the room.
It seemed like he was venting his stress by ridiculing me in front of others. Moreover, this year, our CEO, Michael, is coming from the New York headquarters to attend the Chicago office's party. Having learned this, Adam grinned at me and said,
You're definitely attending.
He was excited about preparing a special game to catch Michael's attention. Seeing this, Emily quietly said beside me,
If it's voluntary, those who want to do it should be the ones to do it.
I agree.
I murmured unconsciously. We glanced at each other and awkwardly said, "Oh, sorry." But knowing there was someone who felt the same way made my gloomy mood lighten a bit. Cold days continued, and before I knew it, the day of the party had arrived. It's December. Every year, winter seems to come in the blink of an eye. The party was set to be held grandly in a rented hotel banquet hall. It was a lavish event, reflecting the company's recent upward trend in performance.
Michael has asked us to start without him, so let's begin the party.
With Adam's cheerful signal, we toasted, and an array of visually stunning dishes were brought out. We employees chatted about how eventful the year had been and enjoyed the delicious food in high spirits. About an hour after the party started,
Sorry for being late. Is everyone having a good time?
all eyes turned toward the entrance. Dressed in a sharp, sophisticated suit, Michael strode into the room, and as he began his greetings, the atmosphere grew more formal. Michael was known for his strong analytical skills and logical thinking, and it was rumored that you needed thorough preparation to keep up with him in meetings. Everyone seemed a bit more reserved, their drinking and eating noticeably slowed. However, just as Michael finished his speech, Adam energetically stood up, disrupting the formal mood.
Since Michael is here, it's time for a special game. Bingo and other usual stuff are boring, so we'll have a quiz contest.
Adam's idea for the quiz contest was to have randomly chosen employees come up in pairs and answer questions quickly to determine the winner. The first round involved two young employees identifying company executives from their photos.
You don't even know our VP's full name? That's grounds for a pay cut.
Sorry.
This quiz was surprisingly well received by Michael, and the room was buzzing with excitement.
Now then,
After a while, Adam drew everyone's attention. Then he smirked. I had a bad feeling about this.
next, let's have a showdown between a high school graduate and a Harvard graduate. Of course, our high school graduate is. David, come on up.
Adam pointed at me, beckoning with his finger for me to come forward. I thought even Michael and Adam's bosses wouldn't stay silent about this, but Michael, already tipsy and red-faced, cheered, "Go for it." It seemed there was no escape for me. Reluctantly, I put down my glass, stood up, and walked to the front.
And as for the Harvard graduate representative, it's obviously me.
Adam rolled up his sleeves with a playful demeanor and stood beside me.
Now for the question. David, it's a college-level question, okay?
The room stirred, and I heard murmurs of, "That's unfair," and "He's a high school grad." Suddenly, Michael stood up.
Wait, that gives Adam an unfair advantage, doesn't it? And his opponent is just a high school graduate. So, let me ask the questions. Is that okay, Adam?
Well, sure. Go ahead.
Caught off guard by this unexpected turn, Adam had no choice but to agree to Michael's proposal. Meanwhile, I desperately wanted to return to my seat. In fact, I felt like running away from there and going home. Michael took off his jacket, stood in front of everyone, and looked around the room before speaking.
Do you know that there are still many unsolved math problems in the world? Some of them even have a prize of $1 million. That means if you solve one of these problems, you get $1 million. Brilliant minds around the world are tackling these challenges.
We were puzzled.
We had no idea what Michael was going to say next.
So, Mr. High School Grad or Mr. Harvard Grad, it doesn't matter. If you can solve this problem, well, actually, since researchers worldwide haven't solved it, let's do this. If you work on this proof and get to a point where I am impressed or convinced, I'll give you $1 million.
At the mention of $1 million, there were cheers from the employees. What? This must be one of Michael's famous jokes, right? Like turning $1 into $10,000 as a joke. As I was mulling over these thoughts, I could hear some of my colleagues mocking me.
There's no way a high school grad can do this.
You're really something else, aren't you, Michael?
I felt disheartened. I never expected Michael to be so focused on academic credentials. Sure, he himself graduated from a prestigious university. I had heard he wanted to pursue a career in academia, but had to take over his father's company instead. I was already so fed up that I almost said, "I'm sorry, but I decline. I don't care if this ruins the mood here." But just then, I happened to catch Emily's eye from the back of the room. She was clearly mouthing, "Good luck" to me. She had her small fist in front of her and was looking at me with a serious expression. Could she really be cheering me on? Seeing that made me a bit happy. Knowing that someone was genuinely supporting me, despite being made a laughingstock at the company party, warmed my heart a little. Even if I were to leave this company someday, the thought of disappointing her by not even trying embarrassed me greatly. Suppressing my desire to back out, I decided to give it my best shot.
All right, here's the problem. Listen carefully. This is known as the Collett's conjecture. Take any positive whole number. If it's even, divide it by 2. If it's odd, multiply it by 3 and add 1. Prove that no matter what number you start with, you always eventually reach 1.
A large white sheet of paper and a marker were placed in front of me. As soon as I uncapped the marker, I felt a surge of concentration and began writing equations. Numbers flooded my mind faster than I could write them down. The room fell silent. Only the sound of my marker on the paper could be heard. On the other hand, Adam's marker didn't move at all.
What? I don't get it.
He was just staring at me in bewilderment. The large white sheet in front of me was now covered with tiny numbers and symbols, which Michael looked down at curiously. I then put down the marker. "I give up."
What?
Seeing me, who seemed to be making steady progress, suddenly give up, caused a stir among the employees.
See? Giving up so quickly shows you've got a high school graduate's brain.
Adam's words elicited laughs and comments like "good one" and "hilarious" from the employees. But I didn't show any reaction. Neither did Michael. "Michael, with my current skills, I can't complete the proof."
No, well done. You used partial differential equations. Good job. It's different from my approach, but it's impressive nonetheless.
Michael, looking satisfied, took my hand and shook it.
What? What's going on?
Ignoring the confusion around us, Michael and I shook hands firmly. Then, Emily stood up and started clapping. As she did, other employees began clapping as well, and soon the room was filled with applause. Meanwhile, the paper in front of Adam had nothing meaningful written on it. With a pale face, Adam spoke.
Hey, did you plan this? Did you ask Michael to do this as a favor?
No, I didn't. I only heard about the problem just now.
There's no way. A high school graduate like you couldn't solve a problem like this. Partial differential equations? Stop pretending.
Really, I didn't. As I struggled to respond, Adam's followers began inspecting my pen and paper, suspecting I had hidden something.
Michael, let's do another one. Just one more. This guy is writing nonsense on the paper. It's just a bunch of meaningless scribbles, right?
Everyone, let's sit down. I have something to say.
Michael took a sip of water and then began an unexpected speech at the party.
I have an announcement to make.
The employees, who had been siding with Adam, suddenly fell silent and held their breath.
It may seem sudden, but I've been concerned about the high turnover rate at our Chicago office. Specifically, I've noticed that many of the employees leaving have lower academic qualifications. I decided to attend this party to get a better understanding, and now it's clear to me why the turnover rate is so high.
Adam and the employees exchanged uneasy glances.
Michael, I'm not sure what you mean.
Sure, academic qualifications can be one way to evaluate a person, but it's not everything. Isn't that right, Adam? You need to stop clinging to past glories and focus on doing work you can be proud of based on your current abilities.
Michael's stern and authoritative words made Adam freeze and then repeatedly apologize. For the first time, I saw his fingers trembling.
Now, a game is a game. As promised, I will give David the $1 million prize.
The room buzzed with excitement again. Wait, you're joking, right? You mean $100?
No, I don't joke. When I say $1 million, I mean $1 million. Although it's unclear if it will be exactly that amount.
What do you mean?
Well, actually,
Michael explained that our company plans to launch a collaborative product with a famous influencer. He intended to appoint me as the leader of this project. Me, the leader of such a significant project?
our estimates suggest that if the project succeeds, it could increase the project leader's lifetime earnings by $1 million. Not a bad deal, right?
Still in shock, I nodded in agreement.
That's amazing.
Emily, who was now standing next to me, exclaimed. Adam seemed too drained to even follow Emily with his eyes. Other employees gathered around me, their faces lit with excitement. Though the party continued as planned with everyone enjoying the food, Adam, who had been the organizer, grew quiet and withdrawn, with his entourage taking over the event. He sat hunched over, sipping his drink slowly, looking rather pitiful. No one approached him. Meanwhile, several employees, including Adam's followers, crowded around me, drinking and having a good time.
You really surprised us. We had no idea.
Be friends with me, future project leader.
People were saying things like that to me, and although I could only respond with a disbelieving smile, I felt a little happy. Yet, it still didn't feel real. The most surprising thing was Emily occasionally placing her hand on my leg. My heart raced, and the alcohol only made it worse. I was sure my face was red. The party ended on a high note. On the way home, I was still a bit pumped up. I couldn't tell if it was because of the project or because of Emily. While I was pondering this, Emily cheerfully said, "See you," and quickly caught a taxi, heading home without hesitation. No, it was silly of me to expect anything. She's still young, lives with her family, and as pretty and kind as she is, she probably has a boyfriend. Thinking such thoughts, I parted ways with the other employees and started walking toward my own home. Then, a man approached me. Is anyone heading the same way? I wondered, turning around to see it was Adam. He was still reeling from today's events and was clearly down. He was clearly not himself. Feeling awkward, I began to trudge along with Adam.
How the hell can you solve a problem like that?
Adam asked, reeking of alcohol. His eyes were opening and closing. He was clearly drunk. Actually, while my highest degree in the US is a high school diploma, I graduated from Cambridge University in the UK.
What? Cambridge University? What do you mean?
Adam's eyes widened and he shook my shoulder. The truth is, during my college years, I moved to the UK due to my father's work. I enrolled in and graduated from Cambridge University. Although I could have answered Cambridge graduate when asked about my education, I preferred to say high school graduate because I didn't want to be judged by my academic background. I once fell in love with a woman who judged people based on their education and career. But she was only interested in the Cambridge graduate version of me. I really loved her, so the breakup was a big shock, leaving me with a fear of relationships for a while. That experience led me to live this way. Without emphasizing my education or standing out, I just wanted to be myself. And deep down, I hoped people would accept me for who I truly am.
You're a fraud. That's the same as lying.
I never lied about my education. It's true that my highest degree in the US is a high school diploma, but that doesn't mean I deserve to be looked down on. Your actions have been unjust. For the first time, I firmly expressed my stance, and Adam suddenly slumped his shoulders.
You're right. I judged people by their education and never tried to see their true nature. And maybe those who praised me only did so because of my education. Just like my parents.
Your parents were like that?
Yeah. They always pushed me to go to a good university, saying that was everything.
Education is only one part of a person, not the whole. I believe we need to judge people calmly by their daily behavior and how they live their lives, especially those in leadership positions.
I've been really disrespectful to you. But not everyone is like that. Michael and Emily never judged people by their education.
What? Emily? I was startled and said that. Adam then laughed bitterly.
I got rejected a little while ago. I thought I made a sincere confession of love, but apparently she likes someone else. I have a pretty good idea who it is.
Adam said, looking sad.
I really learned my lesson this time.
Adam apologized and walked away. Afterward, Michael pointed out to the employees the dangers of judging people based on their education, and it seemed Adam genuinely reflected on his actions. As a result, the turnover rate at the Chicago office would likely decrease. There are still many instances where people are judged based on their educational background. It's not entirely wrong to consider it. But that doesn't mean we should view a person's abilities or character through a biased lens. I have the job of project leader waiting for me, starting soon. I haven't felt this excited about work in a long time. I'm truly grateful to Michael for giving me this opportunity. And standing before Emily, My heart is pounding furiously because she's holding my arm, looking into my eyes with her cheeks flushed. It seems my future is incredibly bright.